2002 Centenary special was like there's going to be another Centenary special. Anyway, so this is of course the final episode of Young Wicker as the 13th Doctor. This is the final episode of the Christian era. And so it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's the end of a Doctor's era. And it's the end of a show era, or a version of the show, right? A very hit or miss show since 2018. So on the same episode, there's a sense of curiosity. How they're going to wrap it up? How they're going to wrap this era of the show? And it's weird that if you're expecting that all loose ends get tied together, yeah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Or any loose ends that gets tied together does not get wrapped. If you're curious about the Timeless Child and all those questions that comes around it, yeah, no. That ain't gonna be a thing. This is your kind of standard, and for apparent to the other like finales of the final episode, it's not as like you assume like okay the final episode is more like gonna be the Doctor saving Earth and and this is the villain and all that kind of stuff, but it's not that like it's stuffing volcanoes. The Daleks and the Simon and the Master using volcanoes to rule the planet, so you just need to stop the lava, which you're like, okay, that's kind of tame, versus like, the Doctor finds Simon and, blowing up, Simon with his screwdriver, or the Doctor saving Trenzalore, or dying from old age, or the Doctor, going down with, shooting down missiles, but heading to the Western Mansion, and it's the plot of this episode is very small. So don't expect this big giant finale. Now here's the thing: there's some action, there's a big climax thing. The way she dies at the Regeneration moment, which is always interesting. It's like, how is our main character going to get killed off? How is this going to work? And it did happen very subtly. It did just like, because normally it's this big massive thing, and it's like the Doctor, maybe like the gas chamber with wealth with 10 and or something epic or something, and it's not. It's just it happens. She gets shot by a laser, a big ass laser, which you're like, okay, and then she's going in that generation phase. The interesting thing, but of course, it being the Centenary special, and if you're curious about how much like having to the classic series is referenced a lot. And all I will say, outside of Ace and Mallory, there's some more cameos. I try to be vague because I don't want to hit spoilers, right? And do I like this episode? Yeah, I thought it was neat. I thought it was a neat way to wrap things off. And something does happen nearly at like halfway through, which I was a little bit like, okay, but if you know what I mean, I once again, I'm trying to be vague. Even the BBC, even Doctor Who, even the Doctor Who websites are like, fans, shut up, do not talk about this, do not talk about whatsoever. So I'm trying to be vague as hell. But those final moments, the last like 5 minutes of the episode itself, they kind of do the Doctor doing the speech about Regeneration and how everything's gonna be fine, and kind of, handing over the keys literally. It's I found it to be an interesting way of doing it, of saying it to a companion before the generation happens, but you leave the companion over. I was like, okay, that's neat. I thought that was a neat way to do it. it's different. And once again, I try not to hit spoilers, but what it is, those final 5 minutes, like having those moments, and I think it's handled pretty well of like the generation talk, the doctor, talking to the next doctor, the next generation to, be calm and cool and cowardly, and it's your shot, kiddo, and all that kind of stuff. And the generation itself, the actual blooming of it, is very visually striking. It's very different. It's gonna be quite interesting because they're dismantling. They are rebuilding the TARDIS once again for this new era with Washington Davis coming back. And who is the next Doctor is I got silent. I was like, I'll be like, how many episodes? Like, I'm so looking for. Fuck it, it's David Tennant. David Tennant's number 14. Okay, he's 10 and 14, and they do play the whole thing of like, why do I look similar to another face? Why is that a situation? And I was like, naturally, I'm like, how many specials do we have with this version of the character? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Do we have is season 14 an entire season, and 15 is with Juicy Gaffer? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's an era, and yes, like the show itself, the Chibnall one of the show has been hit and miss. Some episodes I enjoy better, but it was a big thing when Whittaker got cast because she is the first female Doctor. The marketing hit the whole thing about during season 11 that the ceiling was going to hit. The TARDIS ceiling and that type of thing. And of course it opened a plug of worms with online, which we will not talk about unless I want to mock them. But like, I always found with her one of the show, and also the critical whatever, because it's one the same, is I always found it to be. It was all about the writing, and there was never on the performances, and that for me was, I think, the main thing. It was always about the writing, never on the performances, and it's also a little bit bittersweet for me because, like, I started covering the show. Like, I was thinking covering Doctor Who in general, but I was like, what? Like, apparently it was ending. Well, I'll just wait to whoever's the next person, right? So, and I literally, if you think about it, have started talking about Doctor Who regularly since series 11 till now. So I basically have gone through a entire Doctor 1 while it was happening. So it is one of those situations. I don't know. Well, I mean, 14 might be a little bit easier, but with 15th, I don't know. Maybe I can. Maybe, I don't know. Can I do another 3 seasons? I don't know. 3 years, 5 years, whatever it's going to be. So, yeah, I want to talk about stuff. And all the thing I spoiled about was the ending. That's all I spoiled about. I spoiled just the ending. God damn it. But